We just had the second Democratic debate, and it was a doozy. Okay, now all of a sudden we're having fun. We're talking about real policy. We're talking about real differences between the candidates. Bernie Sanders was on the warpath. He said both against Hillary Clinton, saying, hey, you know what? You have been corrupted by the money. Okay, you take the most amount of money. You take it from Wall Street. We need to break up the big banks. You don't want to do that. You don't want to reinstate Glass-Steagall, I should say, right? Glass-Steagall, they keep mentioning, if you don't know, it just means that the banks are allowed to gamble with depositor money. They're allowed to take your money and gamble with it and keep the profits, okay? Yeah. So, of course, we should reinstate Glass-Steagall, so they're not allowed to do that. Hillary Clinton doesn't agree. She's going to let them keep gambling with your money. Why? Because her top 5 donors are all Wall Street banks. Yeah. All 5 of the top donors.
There should be a few hundred people who support not reinstating Glass-Steagall, and they should be owners and top managers of big banks on Wall Street. Those should be the only people who don't think, wait, of course they shouldn't be able to gamble all of my savings, the value of my house, all that shit, so that they can maybe make a little extra money. It's not like if they make a ton of money with those derivative stock trades and swaps, that then I get some of it because they used my money. So why the hell would I allow that? If I loan my money to Ben when he goes to Vegas, I expect a return on that. Right. But for some reason, I don't get it when it happens in Wall Street. This is all hypothetical. I don't actually have any savings. But yeah, although we do have to, as much as Bernie was on the warpath, I think that we have to give Martin O'Malley credit for, I'm going to get the exact words wrong, but he said something to the effect of, you are the Wall Street candidate. Like very, right. They were all tying her to Wall Street, but he specifically said, "You're the Wall Street candidate."
He said, "You are the candidate of Wall Street." To be exact,
just as
Martin
good.
O'Malley had his best debate. He talked about his Maryland record in the most effective way I've ever seen him talk about it. He said, "Yes, we did raise taxes a little bit. You know what we did with it? We created the best education system in America." And talking about how well Maryland ranks in terms of education. And he said, "We did well with our economy," and gave specific examples of how Maryland did that. And he came out strong against Hillary Clinton and said, hey, listen, you can't pretend to be, not affected by the money that you're taking, because clearly you are. You're the candidate of Wall Street. So there was a couple of moments where Bernie Sanders and Martin O'Malley did a pincer move, and they said, hey, look, this is a huge issue for you. Then that led to 2 of the cheapest things I've seen in the Democratic debate, when Hillary Clinton said, my donors, how dare you? First of all, she said, how can you question my integrity? Yeah, of course we question your integrity. You're a politician.
You're on a debate stage.
Yeah,
right.
It's a debate.
And you take hundreds of millions of dollars in donations and feign outrage that we would say, hey, maybe somebody wants something back for all that money, right? It doesn't mean that Hillary Clinton is a particularly bad person or worse than other politicians, but it does mean that if you take all that money, they probably want something in return.
I would argue that her shock at them questioning her integrity is warranted because she's not used to it. Right?
That's true.
This is something that she's been getting away with, and many politicians have been getting away with for quite some time. And now, finally, you have Bernie Sanders, who's a very outspoken opponent of money in politics. And I love it. And let's keep it real. I'm sure O'Malley cares about the issue to some extent, but he kind of piggybacked off of what Bernie Sanders was saying to kind of have his moment of, his 15 minutes of fame, I guess.
Yeah. No, but he had that planned. He wouldn't have said candidate of Wall Street if he hadn't planned to go after her on that.
Yeah.
Yes, he came second after Bernie, but give him credit for doing a tough job there.
Yeah, I think the integrity thing, was a weak move. I think that it's going to play into the defensiveness of Hillary supporters who feel like any attack against her is unfair for some reason. Wait until she finds out that Bernie also thinks that he should be president instead of her. That's going to blow her mind. He's actually running against you. He doesn't think you should be president. But that was overall pretty weak.
I just kind of wanted to buttress your point about the Hillary supporters saying that people are being unfair if they attack her, right? Specifically Democrats who attack her. The number one thing that annoys me about Hillary and her supporters is the fact that they use the whole women's vote to push her agenda. I'm a woman. I believe in women's rights. I believe in gender equality more than anything, right? And so do I want to have a female president one day? Absolutely. Do I believe that Hillary Clinton is the right female president for us? No, I don't, because I don't think that she represents the middle class and the working class women. Does she care about women's issues? Sure. but she doesn't care about the most important issue that impacts women like me, right? Why don't we have mandatory maternity leave? Why don't we have mandatory paternity leave? It's because of the fact that these corporations buy off politicians like Hillary Clinton. So if, these corporations are in the pocket of Hillary Clinton, is she going to pass the right regulation to ensure that we have the same rights that we want to enjoy? No, not really. So she's not the right candidate. Stop using the women's vote thing. It drives me crazy.
So John and Anna alluded partly to some of the dirty tricks that I was mentioning there. One is saying, oh, I have 60% of my donors are women, which is just misleading because it's not 60% of the money that comes in. It's just 60% of the small donors. Secondly, oh, how dare you question me on Wall Street? I protect them after 9/11. Okay, that makes no sense whatsoever.
Worst line of the night.
Right, and thirdly, when she said, oh, Bernie's plan of single payer in healthcare, that would get rid of Medicare or Medicaid. No, it would actually make Medicare and Medicaid expand, and so grossly misleading. Now, 3 lines from Bernie Sanders that shows you the tenor of the debate. He talked about the greed and fraud on Wall Street. He said corporations are getting away with murder. Okay, that's a very strong language. Yeah. And he said the pharmaceutical companies are ripping the American people off.
Yes.
Okay, and that he would put an end to it by eventually making single payer and going after these guys, right? And in fact, the coup de grace was when he said about the banks over and over, break them up.
Yes.
Not like, hey, I'm going to regulate a little bit more and I'm going to make sure that they don't take risks. He said, no, I'm going to break them up.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very strong.
And then it was followed by Hillary Clinton saying, no, I will break them up if they break the rules. Well, have at it, because they've been breaking the rules.
Right.
We know that.
Well,
we refused to send them to jail, but they broke the rules and it broke the country. Now is a perfectly good time. If that's your strategy, get to the breaking up.
But she did tell them to stop it.
And to cut it out.
To be fair, she did wag her finger.
Yeah.
And tell them cut it out.
I'm sure that she would have just made reference to 9/11, but I would have loved either one of the candidates or the moderators to say to her, so when Wall Street donates millions to you, why do you think they do that?
Right.
Because they think your hair is cool? Because they love your pantsuit? No, they think that it will influence you. They think either that it will make you do something that will benefit them, or they think, no, she's already the woman who will do stuff that will help us out.
Yeah,
so let's support her.
And Bernie articulated that perfectly during the debate. That was his strongest moment.
Yeah.
So finally, in terms of how you evaluate the debate, I'm be surprised the mainstream media didn't immediately declare Hillary Clinton the winner, because stylistically she was strong, and they'd be like, oh, and she got applause with clear loyalists in the crowd. There are loyalists for Bernie Sanders and even some for Martin O'Malley, but Bernie Sanders would say break them up in like a big moment, and people would applaud, right?
Oh.
Hillary Clinton would say, I'm right. And people are like, oh, yeah, she's right. It was like applause for seemingly no reason. But, okay, look, we're for Bernie Sanders, generally speaking. I think Hillary's more right on some of the issues, but we're keeping our perspective clear with you guys. We're not trying to mislead you. So maybe we're seeing it wrong. But I am very curious to see how other people saw it. If you watch this debate, right, you got a clear sense of where they stand. So if you looked at the debate and at the end of the debate, you were like, hey, you know what? Bernie Sanders is being a little unfair to the banks, and so is Martin O'Malley. And maybe, look, that's a little biased framing on my part. You might think, hey, you know what? I wouldn't break up the big banks. That sounds like too much, right? I might want to fix the Affordable Care Act, but I'm not sure that I'm for single payer. Okay, then you support Hillary Clinton, right? So, but if you think, hey, these guys have been getting away with murder, and the money in politics is corrupting, that's the thing that I care most about, then you go for Bernie. So at least you got to see stark differences in this debate and have a clear sense of who you want based on those differences.